You can see my chart, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So like on Bitcoin, these are the levels I spoke to you about yesterday. On this weekly, like it's I mean, it's not looking great, but it's looking better than it was. But you remember the last bull run? I mean, it essentially started like, I'll just do like a little mock box. Like it started like around here, essentially, like this was what was propping it up. Like all this support, that's what we kept coming back down to, is right in this area right here. And like that's what we lost and kind of came up and back tested there. And then that's where like the pain started, really. So now we're just now coming back up, and we're back testing like this massive amount of support that we had during the last bull run. So to expect, like, to think that we're just gonna like hit this and then like bounce over it and just go to the moon, to me is unreasonable. And it's not to say that it might happen, man. I mean, I hope it does. I really do. I hope it does. But I think minimally we have to, kind of, we should likely come down and at least come back down around this area somewhere. At least like the EQ in here, we got a little bit of inefficiency, like right there. There's at least something right in here for it to come back to. Put a little zoomed in. Put that over there. So we at least got something like right there. And it's hit the top. So if it comes back down, I mean, I would like to think that it was going to come back down here. I gave you those levels, I think, like last time we talked, that I think it would come back down to. And then the same thing here. Like there's a little bit in here, kind of doing a little bit of this fractally, but just to zoom in a little bit. Sure my box is right. So I'm kind of doing this a little bit fractally. I mean, you could bring it down here on this time frame. That would be your inefficiency, but I bet it would end up being like there. But for confusion's sake, we'll go from there. So you have something like right here. I got to change the color of that box because that blue line, that's been throwing me off. Yeah, because I couldn't see, like, it's the same color as my dang candles. So I just see that blue line and I don't know if the wick is here or there. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like I said, I would think that there we have some really good spots to come down to, you know. So that's failed. I would kind of think somewhere in there, like those are like good spots. It's those, yeah. So, okay, sorry, I was just thinking. So I would just think that these places are going to get, they're going to get filled. They've just been bouncing off of the tops of them. So maybe this one bounces off of here and then continues higher, but I don't know, man. This is like a really, really strong spot, because this was such massive and important support. This was literally when we lost this was like where we knew like this bull run was, the last one rather, was kind of at an end for now. And it was like one of these levels, I can't remember. I think it was like 29,000 ish or something. Can't remember which one it is, but anyways, so you can kind of see like it kind of loses it, and then bam, it dumps. So we're coming back up to it. Now it is a good sign that we're hitting it for the third time, really. The first back test, then the second, and we've quickly come back up to it and hit it again. That we're building liquidity right here. Like that's what all this is. This is all liquidity, and that's going to fuel this move up to come up here and do probably the same thing up here. But I think that it's likely that we'll come back down and grab some more liquidity to fuel that breaking through of this really important what used to be a level of support, and then has become a level of resistance, you know, or rather area, not level. Let's look at 4 hour. Yeah, so I'd probably like move this box. Right there. See, this is like just refining them as you go down. There's a couple in here on lower time frame, so I would just move it there right now. Okay. Make this white like a little less opaque. Good. It's like 25%. I have to change my settings on my boxes because that blue is killing me. Okay, that's better. All right. Yeah, there's a little something in there. This is definitely a better area in here. It's a good one. There's a little tiny thing in here, but yeah, and this is as far as I would adapt this to. Like, and again, I mean, it just really depends on like what you're looking for, you know, like the more you adapt these and like zero in on it, the more accurate you're going to be. But you also might have like forgotten how important the inefficiency was on the higher time frame, you know. So it's just, it all depends on, are you looking for a scalp or this one? That's a good area right here. Like it's almost certainly going to come back here at some point. We're already down to the 1 hour, and there's still this real big move up, and it really never came back to fill any of this. So I would, what I would do at this point is I would check this. I pull my Fib tool the way in which I use it. So it filled that 25% one. Yeah, I would say like, I would say this 75% one looks good, and this one may be good too. I'll just have to look at it in a different time frame, and I don't want to get too stuck in the weeds. So I'll leave that there, but let me go up the time frame and see what that looks like. Okay, yeah, that's what it is right there. That's where the EQ is, I bet. Right there. Yeah, that EQ looks good too. Yeah, this area right here, I would even just do this. And I know that this might not make sense to some people, but like it's really what I would do. It's like that little box right there looks like a really prime spot to me. Let me go back. I always like to jump back up in time frames just to make sure I don't lose myself, you know. Yeah, so you know, this looks good for me for like a bounce, like or sweep. We could do the exact same thing over here, you know, and this one to get like the more immediate one. I just think that if we fail here, we're probably going to come a little bit lower and at least sweep this low and then move up. And like as far as shorts go, I would be kind of looking at like those areas. Those are safe, you know. Those are like really safe ones. I was just giving you some really safe spots.
Yeah, but you believe it's going up to them red areas before?
It is likely. It doesn't have to, you know. It's just those are some safe spots.
Yeah.
Let me look. Let's see if I still think that. Yeah, these are like really safe ones. There's obviously ones that are lower, but if you go up to, is it the week daily, right? Yeah. So like the looking on the daily, like you have this big area here that kind of needs to be filled in here. That's why I really liked this one, and also because it was this high that was never gained and it closed below it. Like it swept it here, swept it again, and like it's just failed to close above it. So that just to me is a lot of sign that it's really struggling there, which again, like I said, makes sense because you know of what that level is, like what that means, you know, like this is just like it's not just going to blow over this. In my opinion, it may. I mean, hopefully it does, but I don't think it's going to do it right now. Personally, I think like at the very least we have to come down here, and then we may continue like this trend. I'm just going to kind of roughly put this here. Oops. Let me look at it on the weekly. I'll get a better thing. Let me get rid of this. I think it's safe to say. I'm just going to put it here. So if it comes down here, you know, that would kind of line up with that. Then if we kind of move this little guy over here, oops. Kind of do that one. Then it could eventually like come down to here. And if at this point in time, it would end up over here. But like I said, it may be, let me leave that one there. So, and see if it comes down here, like then you got, you know, area support here. And I think ultimately, like it'll come down to here and use that to come back up to here. And then at that point, it'll fail and go down to the one before that I had come down here, you know, where I had that trend. Which would like point it around there, you know. So there's a lot of things that are just lining up. Like you can find a trend to meet up with these, you know, areas of inefficiency, all the EQ marks, like the 25% marks of these moves up and down. Like those are the things that you really want to look for. Like that, there's a lot of layers of confluence that you're going to have to just adjust every day. And again, we're looking at things at a more macro perspective. Like we're not looking at like a trade we're going to take in 5 minutes and that we're going to, get in and out of like a scalp, or even like tomorrow. We're looking at things like macro, like, more for swing trades and investments and whatnot at
Yeah.
this point. But you can take everything that we did now and just keep going down to the 15, the 5, and the 1 minute. Just you can't lose sight of what we just did now, though. You know what I'm saying? Like those are going to give you your areas, and you can keep fine tuning them, and just look at the chart as the exact same way. You're just looking at it on a much more like zoomed in level, but you have to lower your expectations, and you can't expect like to a scalp to be a long-term investment. It's not to say that it's not possible. You can't find the bottom. I mean, somebody has to find the bottom, but more times than not, you don't, and you just get stopped out. So it's just all about, like I preach, just adjusting your expectations and on the time frames that you're looking in, like what you have and everything.
I'd love to see that play out because
Yeah.
there's a couple of longs and shorts. But this is the
Mm-hmm.
thing that I had a problem with when I started trading. I was trying to day trade and just scalp and just try and take money
Mm-hmm.
quickly and jump in and out. And I'm finding these long term trades, over days and weeks, like you're charting like this is much more for me better
Mm-hmm.
psychologically.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Less
Yeah,
stress
absolutely.
and more profit.
And you can still do like those. See, it took me a while to figure this out. It's like you can still do like those scalps and the intraday trades and everything. And if you have the time to sit there and chart and manage them,
Yeah.
but you like the most important thing is like just really adjusting like what you put into the trade and what you expect to get out of it. Like that, I mean, that is the most crucial thing. Is if you're going to sit there and scalp, you cannot scalp with the same amount of money that you would put into like a swing trade or a position. It's idiotic. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that, but everybody does it, myself included. When I first started trading, like everybody does it, and everybody wants to see the same percentage or certain percentage out of every trade. And it's just, that is a trap. You're going to lose money, guaranteed. Like for sure. Like, yeah, maybe you'll, get lucky here and there. But like I said before, it's not about like that one trade. It's about like what you do in these little amounts, and they build up, like it compounds, and losses compound just as if not more. So it's just really about, losing as little as possible and just really reining in your expectations, like AKA your greed, just keeping that greed in check. Don't let your greed compromise like what you know to be true, or like your plan in a trade. You know what I mean? Like what you kind of expect out of that trade, and what you've planned for that. Like don't let your greed or your fear, you know, ever compromise that. And that's the trick. That's the psychology part, of course.
Yeah.
But it's a battle, easier said than done to achieve. But I mean, that's what you really have to keep in mind.